Good morning, Geeks and Gamers. It is the daily show where we talk about the failure of Disney Star Wars. And that's all we ever do here, or at least for today. And it's going to be a good day because Ahsoka ratings are terrible. I think that I represent the Star Wars fan base. People simply just are not watching this piece of shit because fuck Disney Star Wars. And of course, we do have Ryan here, who is the most positive man. And that's why he's watching Ahsoka, because he is positive. He went into this with positive, with a PMA, positive mental attitude. That's what he told me. He called me up. He says, PMA, Jeremy, positive mental attitude. We're going to watch Ahsoka. It's going to be the greatest thing ever. How you doing, Ryan?
PMA pretty meh. Ahsoka, I guess I don't know. It's not good, but the ratings are very, very interesting. I made a prediction, not made a prediction, but I basically came out and said on my stream on Sunday, I have no idea what the numbers are going to be. I don't think it's going to be Obi-Wan level, certainly, but I said if it's not above Mando season 3, they're probably going to be pretty worried because Mando season 3 was a big drop off for them in terms of ratings. And if it's not there or better, they're probably going to start going into panic mode. Well, it turns out it's essentially tied for the worst rated Star Wars show in terms of the audience that actually tuned in. And it's one thing when that's Andor, right? A character that really nobody fucking cares about. You know, not a show that's sitting there and trying to get you with nostalgia. This is a show that they have promoted as, remember this character. Oh, Anakin's going to be in this, all this fucking shit. They went all out. They switched the time zones for when they put this thing out. And it's a massive failure for them. And I think that says a lot.
And you get what you deserve. So we will talk about all of that. I see all of you lovelies in the chat. I see the new corn the long way emoji being used like crazy. Shout out to Krista and Donnie Danko for getting all these new emojis. You guys are crazy with all of that. We appreciate it. The 199 representing had a great day yesterday of Mario Kart, and Salty Cracker was on Cobra Cast. It was a lot of fun. And look at there. Okay, so we've got the Mario thumbnail or Mario avatar.
I respect it.
It's basically Smash Bros. With Mario the centerpiece. Super Mario EO says, "What's up, Geeks and Gamers? I'd love to shout out a happy birthday to the greatest musician of all time, Michael Jackson. This man has been through a lot of shit with the media, and seeing what's happening with Trump is reminiscent of that." I could not agree more. 100%. Michael Jackson is the GOAT, greatest entertainer to ever live. I mean, by default, that still puts him as the greatest musician, in my opinion. I don't think he's the greatest. He's arguably up there with the greatest singers. I don't think he's the greatest singer, but he's certainly one of the greatest singers ever. He's the greatest dancer ever. He's the greatest entertainer ever. I don't think anybody's close. But yes, a big happy birthday. And take this opportunity to let you know I am friends with a member of the Jackson family. That's right. Greatest accomplishment in life right there. Shout out to Taj Jackson. I need to get Taj back on the channel. But agreed. I mean, Michael Jackson went through hell with the media. They put him through just holy hell all those years. Still, they've done Trump even worse than Michael even, which is shocking. But yes, I agree completely. Thank you for that generous super chat. There's I love chat says hi drunk 3PO. So last night, Ryan, during Mario Kart, I don't know what was going on exactly, but Jay meant to type I love the chat, but he just put I love chat, and another meme is born. So there you go. So there's the I love refrigerators guy, but he just says I love chat. Osmora becomes a new member. Thank you. Probably just a re-up. Hail Krista, the emoji queen. Thank you. Shaka Zulu. A lot of corn the long way. Let's see. Pitch idea for epic verse, The Longest Way, starring Beardo and
Corn. Is that The Longest Yard?
Oof. Oh my god, dude. It's amazing how some memes just stick forever. Congrats on taking the first step into anime with Dragon Ball, Jeremy. Now, to become a true weeb, you must watch My Life as Anakai Sans Dog. First season without going insane.
Anukai-sans.
Yeah, this is the anime world is a wild one, man. There's a lot to get to. I don't know. I mean, look, I've watched some. I've talked about this 1,000 times. I watched a bunch of normie anime, and I've liked almost all of it. Maybe a couple that didn't work for me, but overall, I've enjoyed it. So, I'm enjoying what I've seen. Cole Hauser, yo, Jeremy and Ryan, happy birthday to the legend Arthur Begart. Burkhart. AKA Destro and Devastator from, of course, Transformers. Hail Cobra. Hail Decepticons. Thanks, Ryan and Jeremy, for the great content. You guys are the best. 199. Yo, Joe. Cole Hauser, always the most positive G.I. Joe fan out there. And he hates Snake Eyes just like I do. The movie, not the great character.
Oh,
Ryan.
I was going to say, what?
Yeah, fuck that fucking movie, man. Like, I can't make you understand how much I hate that movie. I think I hate the Snake Eyes movie more than any Disney Star Wars.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I don't really care. It didn't look good. It made an embarrassingly small amount of money. What was it, like 30 million or something?
30 or 40 million worldwide.
Did that come out during COVID or anything? Like,
no, it was just that
didn't
bad.
make any money.
It was just that bad.
That's rough.
Yep, it deserved it too. It deserved, because I mean, look, the G.I. Joe movies did decent. Like the Channing Tatum ones, they did fine. They didn't break the bank or anything, but I think they made a profit. But this Snake Eyes movie, the most popular character in G.I. Joe history, massive failure because it wasn't Snake Eyes. None of it was Snake Eyes. But anyway, we do have a lot to talk about. And I want to get into this Ahsoka ratings because, yeah, this is bad. I saw this Samba TV post the other day, and even I was shocked at how low it was because me and you talked about this. We talked about it, especially the first couple of episodes we felt would be a pretty big success for Disney standards right now. It would be better than most of Disney Star Wars recently. We didn't think it was going to hit Mando season 1 numbers per se, but we felt like the online discussion was going to be pretty, there was going to be a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of positivity. And I think the positivity is there for the small group of people that have seen it, but the ratings clearly aren't there. And the discussion is not to the level I thought it would be online.
Yeah, we talked about it, and we've said many times, yeah, there is a core fan base surrounding the character of Ahsoka and the Clone Wars, and to a lesser extent, the show Rebels. But how big is that in comparison to the general public and the base Star Wars fan base? And how is this really going to come across? They put everything into Ahsoka. Like, they made it very clear that they were going all in on this show. Massive marketing campaign, big fan event at Disneyland, a screening that they did, very highly publicized. And then, of course, they moved the time slot. Instead of coming out at 3 a.m, midnight on Pacific, like, they decided to move it up and make it an actual primetime event to desperately try to get people to watch this show. They made it clear they're putting everything into it. And all I could say was oof, because that's the best way to describe these numbers. The latest new Star Wars series, Ahsoka, finally hit screens with 1.2 million households watching over its first 6 days. This is similar to viewership of Andor's premiere and slightly lower than Mandalorian's 3rd season. By slightly lower, they mean 30% lower. So, like, the idea of slightly lower is just a fucking lie. And when you compare it to everything else, you really start to see, like, what a disappointment this is. And Andor, to be clear, Andor has a lot of positivity for the people that watched it.
Yes.
But it didn't have mass appeal because it's not a character that anybody fucking cares about. They're not, like, just shoveling fucking member berries all through the entire thing. But a lot of people say it's a decently made show. This is the opposite. This show is heavily marketed, using Hayden Christensen as Anakin coming back, using all these things that are supposed to pull on these fans' nostalgia to see these characters. And it is fucking bombing for them right now. Samba TV reports the live plus 5, so 6-day viewership for the first episode of Ahsoka drew 1.2 million households. Disney dropped the first 2 episodes of the Dave Filoni created series on Thursday. And to be clear, this is like, obviously Dave Filoni's had a hand in everything that's happened Mando-wise. This one is his baby, right? Favreau's still executive producer, but in terms of, like, singular showrunner, this is Dave Filoni's baby right here. The second episode clocked 956,000, so they lost about a quarter of their viewers between episodes 1 and 2, just to put that out there. Ahsoka is a live-action sequel series to executive producer Filoni's Lucasfilm animated series Clone Wars and Rebels, another Toon series he created. Blah, blah, blah. Ahsoka's first episode ratings are even with the first episode of Tony Gilroy created Star Wars series Andor, which also pulled 1.2 million households over its Live Plus 5. However, it's down 50% from Obi-Wan Kenobi, which pulled in 2.4 million. And it's also down from the first episode of season 3, The Mandalorian, by 30%, 1.7 million households. That's why I said the idea that it's slightly below Mando season 3 is a fucking lie. It's down nearly a third from that. And this is not good for them. Like, there's no way they can possibly try to spin this, even though, you know, they'll attempt, but it can't work.
They can attempt, but it's not. This is really bad. And you know, I got thinking about this. You know, arguments aside about Dave Filoni, we're not going to be doing that today. But I feel like without George Lucas, he's nothing, really. And it goes back to leadership. And I'm not going to tell you George is a great leader, because I think that's kind of, there's no evidence that he's a great leader. He's obviously a great visionary. He's a great creative. And obviously the man created the entire universe of Star Wars. I don't think his leadership is something that people have ever, you know, because I mean, if we go back to the prequels, one of the common criticisms was that he really wasn't willing to listen to anyone, you know what I mean? And a lot of people surrounding him were too scared to tell him, you know, or challenge him on certain topics. But clearly Dave Filoni was someone that was willing to just kind of fall in line and learn from George and try to kind of mimic him or whatever, follow his lead. And it just doesn't seem like the same person now versus like even Rebels, the Clone Wars, even you saw the lack of George in Rebels, in my opinion. Even though I liked Rebels, I did like Rebels, it didn't feel the same as Clone Wars at all. And now with Filoni kind of being on his own, I mean, obviously he's been under like Jon Favreau's wing and stuff like that, but it's just not the same. The magic is gone. Without the magic of George's whatever it is, there's a magic touch that George has because he created it. And without that, I feel that it affects even my viewing of a lot of stuff that I've seen under Disney Star Wars. George's magic is clearly gone from the equation. And without that, you're left with stale, bland stories and a stale universe. And it seems like even the hardcore fan base of some of these characters now aren't even tuning in. This is bad. Now, Ryan, break down the Samba TV situation for people that are watching so we can understand exactly what all that means.
Yeah, so Samba TV, this is 1.2 million households. So they have a certain number. They have several million smart TVs that basically report data back to them about who's watching which things at what time, right? And then they take that number and they multiply it for a rough correlation of what they assume is like equivalent to the United States. They have a bigger sample size than something like Nielsen does when it comes to Nielsen ratings. They really do. So, but you can only really compare it to other Samba TV numbers. So what we have to compare that against is all the other Disney Plus shows on Samba TV. And when you look at the Star Wars series, like I said, it usually gets reported as like the first 4 days. So like if you remember when Obi-Wan came out, it was 2.14 million households over the first 4 days. But they still have that data going out the first 6 days, which they decided to use for this. And this is half of the audience of what we saw for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series premiere. What was that, last summer or last May, basically a little over a year ago, almost a year and a half ago at this point. And for a show that's been marketed totally on, you know this character, Thrawn, Anakin, blah, blah, blah. This is a pathetic failure for them. There is no other way to spin it. It had to be better than this. I'm sure they wanted it to at least be even with what the disappointing numbers were for Mando season 3. But I think this shows a little bit that maybe this audience that is very vocal online, this fan base of people with fucking Clone Wars or Rebels profile pictures with pronouns in their bios and trans flags next to their name that have 200 followers, but somehow get a bunch of interaction on social media. Like, I think that's a bigger social media presence, or appears to be a bigger social media presence that is an actual fan base out there. That's what it seems to indicate to me. And I think this number shows it. I think we've seen a decent amount of like discussion and trending things for it. More so than Andor, way more than Andor, but yet it's equal to Andor in terms of the people that are watching.
Well, I mean, like, let's look at Clone Wars season 7. Massive success for Clone Wars. And that needs to be clear for Clone Wars. If you look, like, at one point in time, the final episode of season 7, this I guess the series finale, was one of the top 10 rated television shows in history on IMDb. And it's still probably in the top 20. It definitely is right up there. And I loved the final 4 episodes. Go look at the number of reviews for Clone Wars compared to, I don't know, Breaking Bad, or even something like Attack on Titan, something else that's up there in the all-time greatest episodes. Massively lower numbers compared to these big tentpole franchises. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's such a small sample size.
Yeah.
And you're trying to build your greater universe around a character that most people don't really connect with. The people that know it, love it. Clone Wars fans love it. You can't, like, Ahsoka is not Luke Skywalker, and she's not the face of Star Wars like you want her to be.
But I think Dave Filoni's attempting to make her that, which has been a mistake from the beginning. You know what I mean?
Well, he is. Yeah. Who else? The problem is who do they have left, though? Because the point was to make Rey the new, like, Luke Skywalker. You ruined that. None of the new characters matter. Finn doesn't matter. Poe doesn't matter. Rey doesn't matter. No one cares. And you blew your load with your Luke Skywalker return in Mandalorian, and then nothing came from that. Like, Star Wars fans are essentially, if you're going back to Star Wars with the hope that it's going to change, you are in an abusive relationship. All right? Kathleen Kennedy is beating the shit out of you and then making you believe that it's going to be different next time around. If you continue to walk into this thinking it's going to change, it's your fault, no one else's. And Ahsoka is kind of the last relevant character that I guess they haven't absolutely destroyed yet. And you're seeing that there's 2 things going on. Number 1, the fan base isn't there anymore for Star Wars. And number 2, they don't care enough about the live action Ahsoka to tune in. They just don't.
Yeah. And I would love to, I've never seen any like Samba TV numbers for Clone Wars season 7. I'd be interested to see it. I've seen them for Bad Batch, the season 2 premiere of Bad Batch. So if you want to talk about the difference and the disconnect between animation and live action and the audience for those things, Bad Batch is obviously not Clone Wars season 7, but Bad Batch season 2, the premiere had 73,000 households tune in over that same period. You're talking about less than a 10th of the viewership. You're talking about a 15th of the viewership effectively for Bad Batch, an animation. So I don't know. I don't know how many people are going to connect to it. Obviously, it's not gone over super well in terms of interest generated. Even if you think, oh, the show is amazing, it's incredible, didn't generate any interest. That's up for debate. If you think that's fine. I think the opposite. I don't think the show's any good. But holy fuck, for as much promotion as they did for this, it is a massive failure for them.
Well, here we go. I just pulled it up. So I haven't looked at this in a while. So these are the best rated television shows of all time on IMDb. Obviously, Breaking Bad, and this has got 200,000 votes. 6 Feet Under, 11,000. Attack on Titan has 50,000 votes. BoJack Horseman, 19. I guess this is an anime here, 13. So where's Clone Wars? Let's see. There's a Better Call Saul. Now, so again, I would compare it to something like better. If you're trying to turn Ahsoka into a major character that's running the franchise. So I'm going to compare the numbers to something like Breaking Bad. You know what I mean? Better Call Saul with 50,000. Breaking Bad, there's 70,000 votes. Attack on Titan, 58,000. Breaking Bad, 113,000. Breaking Bad, 100. So for Game of Thrones, there we go, right here, 15,000 votes. Both of these episodes have a 9.9 out of 10, which I agree. These are fucking phenomenal fucking episodes. 15,000 votes. That's your hardcore Star Wars fan base right there. 15,000 votes. It's just not gonna do it. You know what I mean? Like, what would something like, I don't know, I'd have to look up Mandalorian and see what how many votes Mandalorian would have, but 15,000 votes is not a lot of fucking votes. Now, again, it's in comparison to like some niche animes and stuff like that that's on here, and that's fine. But like even Attack on Titan has 50,000. Some of the Attack on Titan ones have 50,000 votes. You know what I mean? And that's just a sample size to show that you don't have a massive fan base. You just have a small, dedicated group that loves it. I loved it. It's fantastic. I'm not tuning into Ahsoka. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, and now we'll see what happens. I think episode 5 is probably when we're going to see the Anakin stuff because Dave Filoni's directing that one, I believe. So we'll see if there's any bump from that, any bump from, again, I said the other day, they should really, everything that comes out should just be Star Wars A New Cope, because there's always the next thing. This is going to save Star Wars. This is going to be the thing. I'm sure they'll do it right this time by some people that are, well, either they just want to love everything to not be negative, or they're desperate for something to save this franchise, which is never going to happen. So I'm sure Anakin will come back and there'll be viral moments on Twitter and it'll be Star Wars A New Cope. Once again, people trying to convince you that this is going to do it right this time, but it just won't.
Here we go right here. So Mandalorian chapter 16, The Rescue, is the highest rated episode of Mandalorian. I don't know where it ranks on the list, but it's got 61,000 votes compared to 15,000 for the Clone Wars. So again, that just shows you how small in comparison. And there's nothing wrong with having a small fan base for the Clone Wars. That's not the problem. The problem is you're pretending like that's going to push the needle to turn Ahsoka into the most prominent character in this greater universe. That's just not realistic. It's just not. Never was going to happen.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm happy.
I'm
fuck Ahsoka.
I'm very happy.
But yes, I'm happy about that. There's no doubt.
I want all Star Wars to just continue to just go away and die and let the fucking freaks that have taken over the universe have dog shit. Basically, you live in a blue city now, Star Wars fans. Fucking enjoy the shit that's laying in the fucking street. Enjoy the homeless people. You fucking voted for it. Crimes at a fucking all-time high. That's what it is now. Star Wars, you voted for a blue city and you've got it. You are San Francisco, California now. Enjoy that shit. Nobody gives a damn about it.
Josh C., member for 3 months. Glad to be spending my birthday morning with you guys. Hope you all have a great day. God bless and fuck Disney. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate that. Extreme Oompa, member for 3 months, says Hail 199. Thank you, Extreme Oompa. Appreciate that. Scott McKenzie for 13. Hail, Jeremy and Ryan, the 199, the chat and Snake Pit. Hope the memberships keep growing. It's been crazy, man. You guys have been so generous with the gifties, the gifted memberships. So we appreciate you guys. Hey, don't forget, we got Drew Hernandez on tonight. Nice. As long as weather holds up, which it shouldn't, as long as it doesn't do a massive turn. I don't think we're going to get some like tropical storm winds, but it shouldn't be an issue. You're going to get thunderstorms. Yeah. Green-haired anti-liberal member for 17 months. Jeremy, off topic for daily, but I'm normally sleeping during CobraCast. Did you see the 2025 Mustang GTD? Man, if I were made of money, I need $300,000. I did see. I saw there was reports about it, but I didn't double check because sometimes on Google you get these crazy stories. You're like, what? Like you just kind of get like a Google alert about something. Yeah. So I did see that there was reports out there about it, but it was not 100% sure if it was real. Now I'm gonna look it up. Let's see. I got no idea what you're talking about. Well, I'll still never forget when we were here. That was so good. These kids come walking up. They're like, "Yo, man, can you crank up your Mustang? Let us hear it." Yeah, is that a Cobra? Yeah, whatever. Yeah. And then I cranked it up. They're going crazy, and Ryan's just standing there. I'm just showing him like, "That's my Nissan Altima right there." Just like very smooth, and they weren't sure whether to take me seriously or not. Oh man, it's fantastic. Y'all know this thing gets like 36 miles a gallon. Pretty cool, huh? I bought it because of Brie Larson. Pilgrim Media for 2. Can Hollywood writers learn to code? I don't believe they can. Jessica Lindstrom, member for 4 months. Jeremy or anyone that's interested should check out Darker Than Black. It's an action supernatural sci-fi anime that is amazing and my favorite.
Right.
Darker Than Black.
There we go. Look at this. Oh my God. Look at that car. Holy fuck. That is sexy. That is sexy as hell. My goodness. Look out. There is no room.
Probably be tough to see out of the rear view mirror with that big spoiler.
God, that is badass, man. Send super chats. Help me buy it.
Well, we did get a 50.
Woo!
We got a 50 from Linko Kenobi. What's up, guys? I saw the Rotten Tomato ratings, and it's not good, but what's funny is the comments are not open to view it. That's funny. I hope you guys are having a good day. See you tomorrow night. Jeremy, you, Joe, Trump, 2024.
Yo, Joe.
Oh,
Joe.
you,
Yo,
Joe.
Joe.
I thought it was just like a 3-way ticket or something. You, Joe, and Trump, 2024. 19 or 199. Thank you. Yeah, I haven't really paid too much attention to the Rotten Tomatoes stuff for it, but I have heard some weird stuff like people not being able to leave reviews and not being able to see some of the reviews, but I don't know. We know how that shit is.
Yeah, I haven't actually. Let me look it up. So Ahsoka.
My guess is like it's 80 to 85. My guess before was going to be like 80 to 85 critic and over 90 audience. That's kind of what I thought it would be.
Wow.
What?
Hold on before we
getting
do
hammered.
This. It's just it's not what I thought. First of all, I want to look up season 7 Clone Wars first. Okay, just to get a reference to understand how it's totally being looked at here. Okay, Clone Wars season 7.
That's probably like 96% or something.
Yeah. So Clone Wars season 7 has a 95% audience rating. Okay. Ahsoka has a 77% audience rating. I expected 90. I expected 90.
But again, like the only people watching Clone Wars season 7 are probably going to be like, you're not going to get a ton of general audience tuning in. You're getting Clone Wars fans, right? Like you talked about, that little bit smaller group of people.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this one is now opened up, right? This one's now opened up to everybody. You have people watching it that wouldn't have normally because it's a new Star Wars show on Disney Plus.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, even like, okay, so let me see here. What was it Bad Batch? I didn't watch Bad Batch, but I wonder what Bad Batch had. Bad Batch. Star Wars: A Bad Batch had an 84% audience rating. So, yeah. But that's 77. I did not expect 77 after 2 episodes of Ahsoka.
That's probably lower than Mando season 1 and 2.
Not 3.
Yeah, 3 is pretty bad. The Kenobi series, what is that? Probably like 60% or something.
That's a good question. I
bet Kenobi's around 60.
Is it just Kenobi or is it Obi-Wan Kenobi that it's?
You look up Kenobi, I'm sure it'll auto.
I got it. Yeah, I got it. Let's see. Woof. Kenobi's at 62%.
Yeah. So heading towards there.
There you go.
Josh C for 10. Ahsoka's the best Disney Star Wars show since the last Disney Star Wars show until the next Disney Star Wars show. Anticipate, speculate, consume, repeat. Not wrong.
Pretty much. This is something a lot of people are not aware of, but yeah, just realized I never enabled gifted subs on YouTube. Here I was thinking I was unlucky for all the gift bombs on G&G and F&T. Yes, so you have to enable it. So a lot of people that aren't getting the memberships, you just have to enable it, and that will make you accessible. I don't know if that's for every account. I don't think I had to enable it for me, but it's something you have to check in the chat. I'm sure we'll help you guys out with that.
I think it goes chat to chat, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
I believe it's like, accept gift subs on this channel. I believe that's the way it works. So it's not just, I don't think it's like a turn it on, like it's for each chat that you're in. Because maybe you don't want gift memberships to a certain channel. Or maybe you're hate watching and don't want people to know you're there. And if all of a sudden you got one, they'd know you're watching.
Ooh.
Insane. That's my guess. Vault 95 Survivor for 1 on Rumble. Scanning in my Riggas 199. Thank you. All right, where am I? Ministry of Wrong Thing for 10. Filoni put all he had into Ahsoka, like at least 2 inches. Check his face for orange paint. Holy shit. Yeah, I think he's more into the wolves, to be honest with you. But thank you. Japanese Demon Lord of Beer Lucifer for 10. Oh, and Jeremy, if you ever want to get rid of Ryan, just force him to watch the anime Ghost Stories with the English dub. He'll be gone within 10 minutes from getting off from all the offensive slurs.
Ryan's interested now.
Ghost Stories.
Now he's interested.
Cage Phoenix for 199. Lots of shows and movies also make fun of Michael Jackson.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The Wolf from the Heart for 199. Shit Clown Wars strikes again. That's very true. Borg Porg for 5. I finished watching Twisted Metal. Last episode got me hyped for season 2. I hope to see Rob Zombie in Dragula as long as his wife isn't in the show.
I love that song so much. Yeah, I do need to finish it out. I mean, what is it? 10 episodes of Twisted Metal. So what I hear is there's a gay episode, and it's kind of like throws you. It kind of feels kind of out of nowhere. Kind of like, remember that? Well, you didn't watch this, but there was like a Stranger Things episode in season 2 that completely. I think it was season 2. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chad. It was like episode 6 or 7 of season 2. And it was just so weird. And it really had nothing to do with Stranger Things at all. I'm sure you remember that, chat. But
I've never seen a single episode.
Bro, season 1 of Stranger Things is perfect television. It is a perfect fucking show. Perfect season. Season 1 is perfect. I will always watch. Season 1 is so great. It's so great. I love it.
Yeah. Tomac for 50. Thank you, Tomac. Since you guys are watching anime, well, the use of you guys there, I don't know if it's very accurate. How about some Blue Submarine number 6? I've been seeing the return of the fish waifu from that show.
I like how I said since you guys are Ryan, I had to stop that one real quick.
Yeah, let's stop using the royal we here.
Let's get we need to get Ryan into anime. That's what needs to happen. That's my goal for the next year. All right. So Ryan, if I start making videos again and we start gaining subs again, we need to get to a number where I can, if you like, you give me a goal, like we hit this many subs by this date, you'll watch Attack on Titan or something like that. I tell you what,
if we hit 375,000 subs by the end of August, I'll watch a season of anime.
You fucking asshole.
Hey, just saying, it's attainable. One video could go viral.
Fitting to make some clickbait. I'll go full Jeremy Rises.
A Money Wilson, member for 7 months. Ahsoka's a remake of Shaq T. Filoni does all George's characters. I mean, she's the same species, obviously. I don't think she's a remake. She's obviously like a.
Well, George
is part of the reason Ahsoka's a character. Like,
yeah, I mean, George literally told Dave Filoni, Anakin has an apprentice.
Anakin has an apprentice. He does now, basically.
Yeah, and Dave was like, no, he doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, he does. And that's how that conversation started.
That's how the Clone Wars was born.
Yes, like that happened. So it's not like Dave was sitting around wanting to. It was like George is like, this is happening. Dave's like,
yeah, it's not like Dave Filoni didn't walk in a Lucasfilm. He's like, George, I have this brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Ahsoka.
It
was George. And like he said he has an apprentice, and then they obviously work together to develop like what kind and like personality and shit like that. But yeah. KCW for 199. Luke, have I ever told you about Ahsoka Tano? Yeah. I hate how important she's become because like
I personally, I mean, I do too. I agree 100%. Like it's like anything else. Like I'm worried. Once something becomes more popular than it should be, then it becomes a huge, like it typically becomes a problem. Now, Nintendo luckily has kind of withstood a lot of that popularity of the mass appeal over the years. That's because Nintendo is such a weird company. But I mean, like anything else, like once something becomes part of the mass appeal, it usually loses all of its true identity and what made it popular. And I feel like that's where Ahsoka is at this point in time. She just isn't the character that she was intended to be. She's become so much more, and she doesn't need to be that. This universe doesn't need her to be the central figure. It just never needed to be that. And for that reason, it sucks.
Yeah, like I understand the reason for her existing and like the way that she leads the Jedi Order, and that has an impact on Anakin in terms of how he then views the Jedi, right? Like I get why you would, like want some of that from a storytelling perspective. Once she becomes so involved in Revenge of the Sith and survives Order 66 and is part of the creation of the rebellion, and then you have time travel effectively invented to save her from this duel with Vader, and then she survives through the original trilogy, and then she runs into the Mandalorian and tells him to go to Luke, and she's interactive. It's like it's too much. It's gone too far.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, if she's lived for that long, it makes you go back and ask, well, why the fuck did no one like talk about her? Why did she not talk to any of these other people? Like all of these questions that will remain unanswered because there's no logical explanation.
None whatsoever. Because now it's like to the point where it's affecting your like how you would view like the timeline of the OT and everything else.
And that's always like kind of been one of my like small things about Clone Wars when it comes to the prequels, because it like to me, when you have so many face-offs between Dooku and Anakin and Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars, like to me that diminishes that moment where they're like, my powers have doubled since you last met Count, on the bridge of Revenge of the Sith, because that's like this moment where you're showing the difference between Anakin, his level up between Attack of the Clones and his foolishness, and his skill level between now Revenge of the Sith Anakin. You know what I mean?
I don't disagree with the point you're making. I understand it. I guess for me, like I've always had to feel like there's certain things I've had to overlook with minor continuity things, almost like with Obi-Wan and funny, I don't remember owning a droid and it's weird. And you're like, what? Like how do you mess that up? It's such a simple thing to not mess up, but whatever. But the point being is little things like that I've learned to overlook. And I personally think the Clone Wars improves the prequels in the prequel era. And I love the prequels before the Clone Wars. So it only made it better. It only made me love it more. But when you've now, like Ahsoka's not something you can just simply just go, okay, I have to overlook that. She's way too intertwined now. You can't just think of Ahsoka as someone like, okay, I can see why Anakin does, or I can see why Luke doesn't know who she is. It's impossible to do that now. You literally can't do it. You can't justify like why did Yoda, why was no one aware of her? It makes no sense how important they've made her to not only the story but the greater universe. So it's impossible to suspend belief on this point. And not only just her, but it's to the point where Mike, I have to ask the question: did any Jedi die in Order 66? Did any?
Somebody made a joke on my member live stream on Sunday. They said, "Well, it's called Order 66 because that's only 66 died, right? The rest survived, and that's clearly seems to be the case."
Yeah, and that right there, that's perfect. She lost her uniqueness now. Yes, she's no longer like a nice kind of piece to a puzzle that kind of elevated a certain element of a certain character.
Yeah.
She is a centerpiece of a universe that she has no business being a centerpiece of.
Yeah, she is no longer a complement to someone else's story. She is the story.
Yeah,
and that's the problem.
It's essentially, I can't do this. This isn't Sports Wars, but I was going to say, Ryan, it's like in 100 years when people go back in time and they talk about the Chicago Bulls and they basically give John Paxton or Steve Kerr, like, he won the MVP in these 3 years. And you're like, well, wait a minute. If he won the MVP, where was Jordan? You know what I mean? Like you're literally you're rewriting history and it just destroys history at that point in time. You know what I mean? It makes no sense. Ahsoka can't be this
Like at the Chicago
important.
Bulls after the 97 shot by Steve Kerr decided to make Steve Kerr the center point of the focal point of their franchise going forward and expected people to still give as much of a fuck.
It's just dumb. The whole thing's dumb. And Bill Cartwright, he won back-to-back MVPs in the 80s and 90s.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Billy Cartwright.
Will Purdue.
I love Will Purdue. Bill Winnington.
I know.
Give Bill Winnington some fucking respect. He backed up Luke Longley.
It's just like the overreach of Ahsoka is now it's broken. You've further broken the universe now. It's over.
Doll Life Dan for 3 months. Jeremy is feeding corn to Ryan the long way. Thank you. And then a bunch of corn long emojis.
That is true. Where the hell is Can Man? I haven't seen Can Man here all stream. I don't know if I have or not. I haven't seen. As soon as Keenan said that, I'm like, where is Can Man? Can Man not supposed to sleep?
Yeah, I don't know. Marvel Mind Trick doesn't say anything, but thank you for the 10 pounds. Japanese Demon Lord of Beer Lucifer for 5. All the anime on that list except Vinland Saga are mainstream stuff. Sorry, folks, if it comes from Western TV, it's mainstream. Yeah. I have Vinland Saga books. Somebody sent them to me. Command 062 for 5. Do you think any plans for films in this? Hold on. Do you think any plans for films in this version of the universe will move forward? Are we at a hard reboot point, remaking the original trilogy? It's tough to tell. Like this, I think that people are going to be left very blue balls, no pun intended, when it comes to Thrawn, because I think you're only going to see him for like 5 minutes in this show. I think at the very end, he's going to like get on board that ship and he's going to like make his return. But I think a lot of it is going to be left for Dave Filoni's Mandoverse movie that they want to do. I would be shocked if that got. I guess I wouldn't be shocked if it got canceled because it is like Lucasfilm or whatever. But I think they're fairly committed to making that movie. But I don't know. Like now that you see like a Dave Filoni, now that we have a decent amount of Dave Filoni live action directed stuff, I don't know if you change your views on that or not. If you're Lucasfilm, Sir Hat for 2 Mustang owner reporting in for the Mustang Fund.
Hey, there we go. How much is that? How much is that Mustang? Let's see.
Green-haired anti-liberal said 300 grand.
Okay, I gotta start grifting pretty hard.
Huh?
Yeah.
EO Town for 2 months. Is there any hope for Doctor Who if they intentionally get rid of Timeless Child episodes from canon? You are asking the wrong people. I don't know if Jeremy's ever watched a single episode of Doctor Who. I have watched one singular episode of Doctor Who, and it was one of the Christmas episodes from The Dumb Bitch because Gary made us watch it. So that's it.
Yeah, I have never seen an episode of Doctor Who.
Japanese Demon Lord of Beer Lucifer for 5. There's a non-mainstream version of Dragon Ball, though. It's called Not Released in the West, Uncensored Japanese version. Hey, there you go. So again, for those that missed it, so I watched Dragon Ball Superhero, and I really enjoyed it. I guess that's a divisive topic, which I think any popular anime is a divisive topic. So, but I thought it was really good, and I don't know nothing about the universe really, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. It took about 20 or 30 minutes for me to really get into it, to kind of grasp, like, okay, what the hell? Why do I care? But once it got rolling, I thought it was good, and the animation was beautiful, beautiful. Flashy Vic for 5 pounds. Have you seen the kids chanting "Let's go, Brandon" when Biden visited their school? Then when Dr. Jill started talking, one kid screamed, "Shut the fuck up."
I did not see that, but I want to see that.
Linus for 10. Ahsoka was terrible in the Clone Wars. I never liked her character. She always seemed to be an implant female boss character that failed at being a boss. Ahsoka sucks. Case closed. Thank you, Linus. I am further on your side for that. Chef Nick Nero for 10. Disney Star Wars is Frankenstein. Star Wars, a bunch of dead parts of Star Wars, crazy glued with their message, and you expected to like it. It's dead, bury it. And you're expected to like it. It's dead, bury it. Thank you. Fictitious Dave Savage for 2. Anime classics, The Guyver and Fist of the North Star. Thanks. Japanese Demon Lord of Beer Lucifer for 5. You guys do a review of Mushoku Tensei I'll give you $50. Downing into Comics did an article about it a few days ago about slavery. Mushoku Tensei. Well, good to know. Michael King for 5 listed 57 Sega Genesis games on eBay last Wednesday. Bids are up to 1,700. Just goes to show how the classic games are still sought after. That's cool. Congratulations. Doll Life Dan for 10. Anime recommendation. Thank God. Overlord, 4 seasons about a fantasy world from the POV of the evil lord, slowly conquering the world and throwing a wrench in the plans of various scheming world leaders. There you go. Overlord.
Ryan is loving.
I've really been lacking for anime recommendations.
He's really, really loving this.
Japanese Demon Lord of Beer Lucifer for 2. Stop taking my money, LOL. Too late. Tyrant Lizzo King for 5. You know Filoni's going to retcon Ahsoka as the other Yoda spoke of. Might as well. Might as well. There is another. Wasn't Leia. I love chat. Member for 5 months. My best friend had a 2005 Mustang Cobra convertible with Phoenix Gold amp and subwoofers.
You know, I was actually going to get something from Phoenix Gold, but I don't know much about them. And so interesting how you referenced Phoenix Gold. I was going to get a head unit from them, but wasn't sure. I don't know much about them. Their online reviews were really hit or miss, so I wasn't sure.
Kaylin Blackwell for Canadian 5. Uzumaki is coming out in an anime. It looks promising. Yay. Exciting.
This is so great.
Derek PG Beller for 5. People generally like Dragon Ball Superhero, but it's mostly agreed that Dragon Ball Super Broly is better. You should give that one a watch next.
Noted.
Japanese Demon Lord of Beer Lucifer for 5. That's fandom, Jeremy. Yelling and arguing about your favorite show. It still exists in anime.
Hell yeah.
And ASDF with a 159 super sticker. Let me see what that is real quick.
I had to sneeze.
It's a pink or it's a rainbow unicorn. Thank you.
That'll make Ryan happy.
Thank you for the gay unicorn.
Keep suggesting them, but only to
Ryan. Yeah. So over on Rumble, Vault 95 Survivor for $1. Ryan, you need a haircut. Are there any lesbian cuts you would suggest? Fine. Vault Survivor for 2. Jeremy, anime suggestion, Girls und Panzer. It's an anime that kicked my history research into overdrive, and it's kid-friendly if you have any. It's a great story with excellent payoff. And then Vault Survivor for another one. Jeremy, with my last anime suggestion, if you're too busy, you could pick up Blu-rays and pop them on the shelf, getting around to watch them when you can. Completely worth it. Nice.
Juice Cruiser Germ, I met you in Natick. Wish I knew you were a Mustang probably guy. Would have roughly my 66 GT3. Oh, you got a GT350 race car? Oh my goodness. Man. Yep, good stuff. Yeah, Natick. It's been a while since I was up there, but I appreciate that. I saw that one go by. What else we got, Ryan?
Well, we have got some gift subs as well. Thank you guys out there. We got 10 from Ellie Reen.
I saw that one come in.
10 gifted memberships, and then Steel Leg of History with a Geeks and Gamers membership as well. So, Ellie, thank you so much, and thank you, Steel Leg of History. I do want to get to this next part of the story if I can pull up my shit. Here we go. We've been talking a lot about all the different failures that Disney has been having, whether it's the theme parks, whether it's the box office, whether it's streaming. It seems like everywhere this company is failing right now. And we saw their stock hit nearly a decade low just a few days ago, erasing almost a decade worth of gains from shareholders. And now, after Disney's already done a lot to remove a bunch of content from Disney Plus because it cost them less to remove it than it did to keep it up on the platform, they are still canceling shit. Now, unfortunately, it's not Marvel and Star Wars things like they probably should, but take a look at this. Disney Plus cancels 2 series that were already finished filming. So they'd ordered these things, they'd finished filming 8-10 episode seasons, and before it can even air, they're saying, you know what, let's just Batgirl this shit and try to cut our losses. Disney Plus has canceled 2 upcoming TV shows that have already been filmed. The Spiderwick Chronicles, based on the book series, and Nautilus, based on the science fiction character Captain Nemo, have been axed from the streamer. Per Variety, The Spiderwick Chronicles completed filming all 6 episodes and is now being shopped to other networks. The live-action series was announced as part of Disney Plus Day back in 2021. It was actually, some of the episodes were directed by the She-Hulk attorney-at-law showrunner Kat Coiro. I guess they didn't want any more She-Hulk people involved in Disney Plus series. Probably not a bad decision for them. And then Nautilus, developed by James Dormer, stars Penny Dreadful and Star Trek Discovery lead Shazam Latif as Captain Nemo, the 10-episode series based on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. But like both of these things were completely done. They were totally filmed and they're in the post-production process. And Disney has just scrapped them in a desperate effort to save money. We've seen them remove $1.5 billion in content already from Disney Plus. We've seen them fire thousands and thousands of people across the world. We've seen massive cuts at ESPN as well. They can now no longer hide the dire straits that they're in. Like when you have your stock plummeting to almost a decade low, when you have people that are just walking away from everything you're doing at every level, you have to take drastic action. That seems to be what Disney's doing now.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been saying this for years. We were told we were just making stuff up, that we were just clickbaiting. It was rage bait. We were doing it so that we could get more people to watch our videos. The reality of it is we're just paying attention to what's going on. And Disney's not in a good place. They're just not. I've been following Disney forever and a day. Used to be a huge fan of Disney, whether it was their parks or their content or everything like that. Disney has fallen so far. And all they need to do is focus on creative projects and not agenda-driven projects. If they did that, that would cure most of your issues. Obviously, though, that would mean that you're going to have to basically get rid of, I would say, probably 40 to 50% of your workforce because you've hired, especially from the executive levels and the top tier levels and management levels, because you've hired in activists and people that are obsessed with identity politics and all of that. But that's really, I mean, we talked about this. It's not just one thing or the other. Look how far everything has fallen, whether it's Marvel, whether it's Pixar, Star Wars, even the theme parks are being affected now. Disney Plus, without having properties that are generating interest within fans, you're not going to be able to continue to build Disney Plus. Go back, like if Star Wars was good, if Marvel was good, if Pixar was good, you'd be releasing these films. People would be excited for these films. They would go see these films. You would make a profit on these films, and then they would release on Disney Plus, and people would be waiting and excited. That's not happening. What's the last major Disney film that people released that were genuinely excited to watch that from home? What is it? I don't know. Can you name it?
No,
you know, would people like, and that's not to say that there are films out there that people are interested in. Barbie is something I'm sure people will be waiting to watch when it comes to streaming. Obviously, Mario was something that a lot of people were excited when it came to streaming. You know, there are films out there that people are excited to see when they're coming to streaming. What's the Disney movie? You want to say Guardians 3? I don't really think so. And I love the Guardians 3.
Avatar 2 would be the only one. Like when you look at the numbers it got in terms of home release. But again, this was in the works before Disney even bought 20th Century Fox. And it's hard to call that like a Disney production, but technically it's under the Disney banner. But it also got released on other platforms, not just Disney Plus.
That's right.
Got released on Max and stuff like that too, because of pre-existing contracts.
So they're just not turning the needle in any place whatsoever. And it's affecting everything because this entire company is so intertwined. Because it used to be that Pixar and Marvel and Star Wars, they all kind of were separate of each other and they had their own separate entities. And now they've got all of this stuff kind of intertwined and it all feels like it's being made by the same company. I remember this, Ryan, when Disney animation and Pixar felt different even. We don't even have that point now where Disney animation and Pixar feels different. They both feel like the same company because it's all the same agenda. So yeah, I mean, they're going to continue to struggle. We're going to continue to call it out. And all the people that have continued to say that these were lies, this is what's happening, where are they at now? Where are they at? Where are they supporting Disney? They're not. They don't care. Disney has alienated a massive part of their fan base, and they're going to continue to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get back to some of these super chats. JR for 5 anime recommendations. Hamtaro. It's about hamsters. Nah, I'm good.
Sounds like a Krista movie.
Manny Lamont for 5 recommend Beast King Go lion for an anime. US Voltron series was based on it. Star Wars is dead, by the way.
Yes,
it is. Sir Hat for 5. Mushaku Tensai is amazing. Tanya the Evil is also a great show about a guy from HR getting sent to not Germany during World War I. The Black Blur for 5. Ryan should watch Chainsaw Man. That anime seems right up his alley. Japanese Demon Lord of Beer Lucifer for 5. Of course, watch the anime Goat Kanosuba ripping on trans folks and a guy who believes in true gender equality. His words. Dragon Dan for a 5. This is just me, but I don't think obscure anime should be recommended to people who grew up on Star Wars and G.I. Joe. I would start with normie stuff first. I'm not going to watch any of that, but Desirius with a gift membership. Thank you, Desirius. Appreciate that.
I think Ryan would enjoy some anime. I do.
I'm good.
Are we caught up?
I think so, yeah.
All right, we are caught up, ladies and gentlemen. Dom H dropping the 20. Thank you, Dom H. So we do have Tuesday night's main event tonight. Drew Hernandez will be with us, weather permitted, and I don't think we're going to have any issues with the weather, so we should be good to go on that front. But other than that, Ryan, what positivity do you have going on today?
Not much, just making videos.
Making
Pretty
videos.
much same old.
Same old. But yeah, so Tuesday night's main event tonight. I will have that link up here in the next couple of hours. So I'd love to see the 199 representing over there in the chat as always. Other than that, we'll see you guys then. Did we get Steel Leg of History with the gifted membership? Did we get that one?
Got that
Thank
one,
you,
yeah.
Steel Leg
And
of
then
History. So
Mega Vanya fan, read Berserk. I have Berserk.
I have Berserk too. I've sent 2 copies of Berserk. So I'll have to check that out. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you for Tuesday night's main event. Shout out to our Rumble audience as well. We had 300 people over there watching us today. 2,500 here on YouTube. Great job to the 199. Have a great day, and we will talk to you later. Bye, everyone.